Hello, class. Welcome to another video installment on the Renaissance. And so today you're going to take a look at Pico della Mirandolas on the dignity of man, and especially what humanism means. Oh, I can't get over this video. I'm really sorry for the video quality. What humanism means through his perspective. And so, just a little reminder to you, you already took notes on this slide or already saw this slide previously, but humanism just elevated man from his sometimes perspective or position of being a sinful, evil creature in contrast to God. And it sort of took the shame, humanism took the shame off of being human and embraced what makes us human, and said we're actually capable of a lot of good things, and maybe man should be put on a pedestal for the things that he does or can do. And like Pico will say, man is a miracle. Man can do amazing things. And so, just to remind you, humanism is what I just kind of articulated, and it rose to popularity as a school of thought during the Renaissance because humans were producing amazing things. Besides just what they created, what inspired this creative drive was first education and knowledge that came from classical antiquity, Greece and Rome. People were becoming interested again in Greek writers, especially philosophy. And remember, that had kind of died out in the Middle Ages when the focus was on Christian perspective or religious perspective. Also, at this time, there's a rebirth of art and architecture from Greece and Rome. And remember, that was a golden age of human accomplishment. And so that's replicated here. Literature also put into the vernacular of the people. And so stories, writing, all content more accessible to people. There's this desire to explore what humans can achieve. And we talked about that a little bit with the competitive drive of human nature, this idea that we keep pushing and we see what we can accomplish. So those are some of the big things as to why humanism became a point of view during the Renaissance. What you're going to take a look at, and he's on your term sheet, Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, an author who is a friend of Lorenzo Medici. He was influenced by the Platonic scholar Marsilio Ficino, and so he took those points of view and created his own argument for why man is worth celebrating. He thought that what we know, what we understand as humans, could be brought together, synthesized, and we could know truth by just looking at what we know, what we can explore. He thought that virtue, the concept of virtue, was what we should be focused on, what we should value, our skills, our talents, our strength, our fortitude, our ingenuity and creativity, and our free will. But he doesn't deny that man can also choose the opposite of all of those things. That's free will. That's the beauty, is that we can choose who we want to be. And that's what he'll argue. We can be worms dragging our bellies on the ground if we want, but we can also rise and do great things. So in that context, as the opposite of virtue, Pico believed that idleness is the enemy of human achievement, and that we can accomplish great things by action, and we accomplish very little by inactivity. He had an attitude of self-confidence, and that, he said, was really important for man to have, as this confidence that we can do great things. Like I mentioned, not the shame that maybe people had felt for centuries before. Also, Pico della Mirandola emphasizes that to be truly great, We should seek to master all systems of knowledge. So this idea of like, well, I'm not really a math person, or I don't really like science, or English is kind of boring. Like, Pico would argue we should embrace everything. We should try to learn as much as we can about everything. That's what makes us strong. And actually learn deeply, not just surface level. So he wrote the Oration on the Dignity of Man, which we're going to read part of. These are his arguments that man is a great miracle. And eventually he's going to predict 20th century existentialism, that we can choose who we want to be, what kind of person we're going to be. We exist first, then we decide who we are. But on the flip side, we're responsible for our choices and for who we are, because we can make that choice. So what I want you to do now after this little intro is check out Pico della Mirandola out of the First Beatty textbook. The page numbers are on the schedule. And I've given you a handout, or it's also posted online. If you're a distance learning student, it's online for you and you can submit it as an assignment. But I just want you to look for, what background does he give to prove that he understands this argument of why his argument is true? What does he kind of establish first to connect with us? Then what's his central thesis? What's his main argument? If 10 years from now you were asked, what did Pico say? You could have a thesis. This is the argument, concise. What reasons and evidence does he give? Can you give some quote as evidence? If you can, try to, I don't know why I put sandwiches quote. You can do that if you want. You can introduce a quote, but include some quotes to illustrate what he's saying, and then how does he conclude his argument. Okay, we'll chat about Pico when I see you next. Thank you for watching.